know how to hold a grudge. I can send a bridge up in smoke. And I can't count the people I've let down, the hearts I broke. You ain't gotta dig too deep if you wanna find some dirt on me. But I'm learning who you've been ain't who you gotta be. It's gonna be an uphill climb. Oh, honey, I won't lie. I ain't no angel. I still got a few more dances with the devil. I'm cleaning up my act little by little. I'm getting there. I can finally stand the man in the mirror I see. I ain't as good as I'm gonna get, but I'm better than I used to be. I pinned a lot of demons to the ground. Got a few old habits left, but there's still one or two I might need you to help me get. Standing in the rain so long has left me with a little rust. But put some faith in me and someday you'll see there's a diamond under all this dust. I ain't no angel. I still got a few more dances with the devil. I'm cleaning up my act little by little. I'm getting there. I can finally stand the man in the mirror I see. I ain't as good as I'm gonna get, but I'm better than I used to be. I ain't no angel. I still got a few more dances with the devil, but I'm cleaning up my act little by little.
At this time, we are going to get the services started, so if you could please find a seat. Before we begin, I'd like to make an announcement that if you have a cell phone, if you could turn it off or on vibrate. And officiating tonight's service will be Reverend Karen Droder.
Friends, we have gathered here to celebrate the life of Matthew Gordon Butcher. We come together. We come together in overwhelming grief, acknowledging our human loss. May God grant us grace that in pain we might find comfort, in sorrow, hope, and in death, everlasting life. When Matthew was quite little, playing t-ball, he got on first base. When the next child hit the ball, Matt made a straight beeline over the pitcher's mound to third base. That was Matt. Now, I must say something that may shock many of you, but I think it's important that we're honest tonight. Matthew was a closeted Harry Potter fan. Sure, he made fun of Allie and Susanna, who read the books and watched the movies. Matt called them Harry Potter nerds. But at some point, he secretly read the books and began quoting them back to Allie and her sister. Did he do this to just mess with them? Undoubtedly. But no one reads 7 long books unless he or she is into them. And that was Matt. There are a couple of quotes from Albus Dumbledore worth lifting up at this moment. The first is also something Jesus said, so it's a really good quote. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Matt's treasure was you. Matt's treasure was his wife, Allie, his daughters, Grayson and Keelan, his family and friends, his co-workers and colleagues, his kids at the high school, and the faculty and the staff, but also the people on the street, victims of accidents, sufferers of pain and poverty. He was rich with treasure and love, and that was Matt. The other quote is this: death is but the next great adventure. Matt loved most of his adventures, unless he was doing something he didn't want to do, like pursuing a chase and having to crawl across a log on his hands and knees to get to the other side of the stream. And I understand that he voiced his displeasure at this experience with some very specific language. But he loved other adventures, like hiking the mountains with his family, riding his motorcycle, and the freedom that that gave him. Matt was also a serial hobbyist, trying new things all the time, especially things he didn't know how to do, going all in with all the stuff that went with him. Among other things, he tried hunting and fishing, playing the harmonica, photography, painting, beer making, and horseback riding. But he always returned to his motorcycle. How many times did you say or think, that is so Matt? I don't know what Matt thought or believed was on the other side of this life. He probably had no idea at the depth and the breadth of this new adventure. As God stood next to him, as God always does for all of us, Matt was never alone, and he was welcomed by his Creator, who put divine arms around him and ushered him into a new life where there are no more tears, where there is no more pain, no more suffering, no more anguish of the soul. And there is joy, the likes of which he never experienced before, and that's saying a lot. And a celebration of all that he was and all that he was meant to be. There are some mixed up thoughts and words about suicide in our Western culture, and some really bad theology that is spewed at people. Quotes from the Bible that aren't even in the Bible are repeated. But here's something we don't always remember. One of Jesus' best friends, a man he loved and a man who loved him, took his own life. And Jesus' grace and mercy never abandoned him. God has taken Matthew by the hand and led him on his new adventure. Matt's probably meeting all kinds of souls he helped without even knowing it, seeing the seeds that he had planted begin to blossom and bloom. His face is full with that big old smile, knowing that he will live on and care for those of us who are still in this life. Blessed be his memory.
A reading from Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Each of our lives is a story. Each person we meet along the way adds detail, depth, and meaning to our storyline. They teach us lessons about ourselves, about those we love, and about how to live our best lives. Matthew Butcher will forever be a part of our stories. He added details no one else could. His own stories and experiences allowed him to share wisdom with those of us seeking answers. At times, he helped us find confidence to minimize doubts, while other times he shared his humor to soften the stress. He shared the importance of curiosity through exploring new experiences, meeting new people, and serving others. When Matt came to the high school as the school resource officer, he became of our Rough Rider story. He was a father figure to many of our students, supporting them at the important events in their lives, like graduations and weddings. He gave them tough love while also supporting them with his relatable sarcasm. He was a friend of those seeking companionship, often hosting lengthy conversations in his school office. He was a servant to this high school, the community here, showing compassion for all walks of life. He went out of his way to help so many students and those he served in our community. And while it may seem his story has ended, in fact, it lives on in our hearts as we remember all the times each of us had with Matt. As a father, a husband, a brother, a son, a friend, and a colleague. Our memories will keep his presence, his impact alive. May we all continue to share what we have learned from having him in our lives. With each new hobby, job, or experience he chose to pursue, one constant remained: his absolute sincere love for people. As we remember Matt, we can keep his story going by reaching out to those who need us. Those small acts of kindness keep us a part of his story.
This is a letter from Emily, with whom Matt became close when he was the school resource officer here. She writes, "We all have a purpose in life, a unique gift or special talent to give to others. Matt's purpose was to help those in need. To him, it was his job to everyone he impacted. He was changing lives. I met Matt while I was attending Roosevelt, and soon he became my second father. He held my hand and guided me through the toughest times of my life. But with the bad comes the good. He watched my bowling career skyrocket. He saw me graduate, saw me get married, and so much more. Most importantly, he made me a part of his family. Allie, Kay, and Gray accepted me with open arms, and I loved them dearly. My surrogate father was dedicated to his career, but nothing could ever compare to the dedication he had for his family, friends, and community. He was the most loving, caring, and selfless person. Although he may not have shown it, his actions and words proved it. Pops, your life was a blessing, your memory a treasure. Your love is still my guide, and though I cannot see you, you're always by my side. Remember to give each of us a hug and keep a smile on our faces. Remember how much we love you and the memories we will all hold on to. Your candle may have burned out, but your legend will never die. I love you. Rest easy. Emily, your surrogate daughter."
After 18 years of friendship, it doesn't seem real he's gone. This room is a collection of stories. Everyone here has a story of a time he helped you, a time he made you laugh, or a time he put his life on the line to save you or others. I could not count the number of laughs he brought to his family, friends, and coworkers. He had a genuine care for those he helped. He showed it by the great time and energy he invested in our friendship, the love for his family, and his girls. He was the first one to step in front of harm's way to protect his fellow officers and would give the shirt off his back to help anyone. He had a great following in the community. The students loved him as their school resource officer. People on calls for service would literally ask for Officer Butcher. They would only speak to him and not anyone else sometimes. The department relied on him to work his magic when someone needed mental health assistance. In fact, he was Portage County's Crisis Intervention Officer of the Year 3 different times. A story I learned this week. After Matt had passed away, the mailman knocked on the door and asked Allie if everything was okay. He noticed all the cars in his driveway. She told him that Matt had passed away. He told her, "Matt saved my life." That mailman was going to commit suicide. He was going to take his own life. Matt got him the help he needed, and now that man has a steady job and is getting married soon. Not everyone could demonstrate their bravery like Matt did. Countless times, he taught people into putting their weapons down, including standing directly across from somebody as they were holding a gun. He rushed into a house at the sound of gunfire. He removed burning clothes from a victim that was literally on fire after they crashed their car. He served on a dive team and found a drowning victim. One time, he rendered medical aid to a gunshot victim while riding in the back of a pickup truck. These are just a few examples. There are so many, many more. He kept his supervisors on their toes with his antics at times. One year during College Fest, we were up against a large crowd throwing bottles at us. Matt always had to be the first one there if officers needed help. In his haste to get there first, he crashed his cruiser into the side of the police department. But he still showed up with his wrecked car to help. During that same year, he crashed his car into the police department again. Another time, he was trying to help a motorist that had a full-size mattress stuck under their car. Instead of calling a tow truck, Matt told them, "Drive home, you'll be okay. I'll follow behind you." About halfway home, the mattress began to smoke. The mattress caught on fire. And then the car was ablaze. So the department had to write a nice check for that one. We could tell Butcher stories all day long. We will continue to do so for ages to come. It may do us good to zoom out and remember we are part of a bigger story, a story of good and evil. Not every page has been written, so we cannot understand it all, no matter how hard we try. But I believe that God will show us one day when we see his face. We have to remember that God is a rock for us and will take weight off our shoulders if we put faith in him. Psalm 62, verses 5 through 8 says, "Yes, my soul, find rest in God. My hope comes from him. Truly, he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will not be shaken. My salvation and my honor depend on God. He is my mighty rock, my refuge. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your hearts to him, for God is our refuge." To Matt, as we reflect on these stories, I am sorry that you paid the ultimate price that you saved so many others from. The number of people here missing you shows that you were loved by many and touched the lives of more people than you can count or even realize. Matt, you have left a legacy and will truly be missed.
Yearning, a strong feeling of wishing for something, especially something that you cannot have or get easily. Most of us move through life yearning for compassion, connection, for friendship. We yearn to be seen. If you're in this room and you had the privilege of meeting the cackling, mumbling, Kentucky Fried Matthew Gordon Butcher, then you had the opportunity to be seen. You had a friend and you felt compassion. Matt recognized the need for connection and understanding in every person he met. He saw it in confused high school students, in suspects, in victims, in people having the worst day of their life, and even stumbling rookie cops. Matt's main goal every day that I knew him was to help someone. He needed to be the light in dark situations, and he did whatever he had to do to be that light, even if it meant holding in his own darkness. Once I was sharing my darkness with Butcher, and he initiated that conversation, as always, and forced me to open up to him. We spoke about our traumas, our anxieties, and the pressures of life. And we talked about letting others take our burdens so that we can be weak and heal ourselves. After that conversation, I sent Matt a poem, and I told him, "This is you." And he responded, "You're right." It's a poem by Charles Bukowski that I'm going to read to you now, and it's slightly altered. It's called Bluebird. There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I am too tough for him. I say, stay in there. I am not going to let anybody see you. There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I pour bourbon on him and inhale cigar smoke. And my loves and my friends and the strangers I smile to as we pass never know that he is in there. There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I am too tough for him. I say, stay down. Do you want to mess me up? Do you want to screw up the works? Do you want to blow my cover? There's a bluebird in my heart, but I am too clever for him. I only let him out at night sometimes. When everyone is asleep, I say, I know you are there, so don't be sad. Then I put him back, but he is singing a little in there. I haven't quite let him die. Then we sleep together like that, with our secret pact. And it's a nice enough song to make a man weep, but I do not weep. Matt had a bluebird locked inside his heart, and he covered him, and he drowned him, but would not let him fly out. He was way too busy making sure everybody else could soar. I know now that Matt's bird is soaring, and I know that he's free. And the wind carries him well above our heads, and he can look down on us and gaze at all the people that he's touched. I cannot say goodbye to my friend, because I can still feel him. His tense squeeze on my shoulder and his bear hugs crushing my back. I can still feel him. So instead, I'll say, till we meet again, brother, when we're both free to fly. Enjoy your peace. And I love you.
My name's Scott Simmons. Matt and I are retired from Kent within weeks of each other, him from the cop shop and me from the fire department. Matt was called by many names during his career: 1414, 234, Officer Butcher, Mr. Butcher. I preferred to call him Matthew. No matter what you called him, we all knew that he was caring, compassionate. He constantly had an infectious smile, a hilarious laugh, and an ornery sense of humor. I've heard many times this week that you knew that he cared about you if he poked fun at you. I can tell you that I got a lot of invisible bruises in my chest. I first met Matt when he worked at Brimfield PD, but it wasn't until he came to Kent that our friendship really took off. And though he might have been a closet Harry Potterist, he was also a closet fireman. He'd come and hang out at the firehouse, drink coffee, eat breakfast on a Sunday morning, and occasionally show interest when we would do training. We could see him trying to tiptoe over to the best side of public safety. He was always interested in learning new things, and in 2009 he went back to school and he achieved his State Firefighter 1 certification as well as his EMT certification. He was a member of the Rootstown Fire Department from 2008 to 2010 and a member of the Charlestown Fire Department from 2019 to 2021. In 2008, Matt reached out to myself and Dave Moore and showed interest in joining the county dive team. He received his training in swiftwater as well as shore support and became a certified diver in 2009. He was a valuable asset to our team, teaching us about the law enforcement aspect of our calls and about the chain of custody with evidence recovery. On one team training at Lake Hodson in Ravenna, we were doing dive operations on the far side of the lake. I was operating a John boat, shuttling equipment from that operation back to the dock, and the waves were very choppy that day. And my boat took some water over the front, and my boat started to sink. So I got on my little whistle, and I whistled really, really loud. Dave, I see you laughing right now. You know where I'm going with this. I whistled really, really loud to get the attention of the boat that was closest to me. But all I could hear, cutting through the air, was Matt's voice saying, "Way to go, Simmons!" And then hearing that silly laugh he had. His laugh made me laugh, even while my boat was sinking. I'm not really sure where he got the interest for water, because if you saw that video a little bit earlier, the one that's been circling around social media, the one where he's crawling on all fours across the creek because he's so afraid that he'd fall in the water while he's slinging insults at Carnahan because that's who put him in that situation. Yeah, that was Matt. And he did try hunting. You're right, he tried. One day at my house, he's like, "Simmons, I think I want you to teach me how to hunt." Well, it was September, so it wasn't gun season yet. So I went and grabbed a bow. And I said, "Well, first you got to learn how to shoot this." He looked at me and he says, "Where you put the bullet in that thing?" So tried. That was where it pretty much ended. Matt loved to ride his Harley. My fondest memory of Matt was many years back when he rode his bike down to Hocking Hills. He texted me to say that he had rode too much that day. He was looking for a place to crash. He didn't want to drive the 3 hours home. So he knew that I was familiar with the area because I had worked down there for 8 years as a paramedic. I'd actually built a hunting cabin on my property down there, and he asked if he could crash at my cabin. I said sure, so I gave him the address, but the shocker for Matt was when he pulled in, I had not told him that I was actually down there bow hunting. So we sat around the campfire, singing old country songs, smoking cigars, maybe taking a few sips from a mason jar. Might have happened. But we talked a lot about around the campfire that night. We talked about our jobs, talked about the past, talked about the future, we talked about our families. It was obvious the love that he had for Allie and the girls. That night forward, our friendship was at a whole new level. Recently, I heard a really profound statement that I got to repeat. The biggest strength that we can have is to be weak. How powerful we can be that we would be able to ask for help, to allow somebody into our shell to support us. We as public servants see a lot. We are 200 times more likely to see a traumatic event than the public. But are we 200 times more strong than the public to be able to deal with it? We put up this protective shell and we lock those events away behind a door in our brains. And if that door opens and you're having a tough time, please reach out. Please be so strong that you can be weak enough to ask for help. They will always say that we always have the memories. Sometimes that's just not good enough. This world was a better place with you in it. So farewell, 1414. So long, 234. Goodbye, Mr. Butcher. I will certainly miss you, Matthew. You were the smiling face of Kent PD. You left big footprints on this earth, and you certainly made Kent and Kent schools a better place to be.
You guys are a tough act to follow. I'm Greg, Matt's brother, and back in 2018, our sister passed away. And being from Florida, I showed up to the funeral and I spoke for my sister, and my sister said to me, you know, it must be nice living in Florida. You always get to wear swim trunks and flip-flops. So I thought it'd be funny to show up to her service wearing just that. One of her favorite lines was that, "Mom will get over it, Mom will get over it." My sister always was a little bit of a rebel. And my brother tried that once. He tried to be the rebel with earrings. My mother's motto was, if I wanted a hole in your ear, I would have made it that way. My brother learned quickly when my mother snatched that thing out of his ear and he stood there holding his ear bleeding that my mother stood on business. Nanny didn't play around. Over the years, my brother and I got to do a few things here and there, but not really much. I lived 1,100 miles away. He was raising his family, his three beautiful girls, Michaela, Grayson, and Keelan. I was raising my two boys down in Florida. It wasn't until recently that we actually got to start enjoying some things together. The motorcycles. My wife was generous enough to allow me to get a motorcycle again. I begged and pleaded. That's actually a lie. I bought one, hid it in my buddy's garage who's sitting over here. And I made up this whole story about have the kids give it to me for my birthday. Surprise, guys. I was so excited to call my brother and say, listen, we can start doing some trips and doing some things, and he came down. And that's exactly what we started to do. We started to talk about life. And my dad passed away. When my dad passed away, again, another service. My brother was a former Marine, and my father was a career Marine. I showed up in a suit. My brother ridiculed me forever for not wearing a uniform. He said, you know, you should have had yours on, I should have had mine on, and we should have stood there for our father. And I said, Matthew, I said, I wasn't a Marine. I said, that's your honor. That's your honor to have. And I said, you did a great job. So he says, well, when I pass, he said that you make sure you have on a uniform. And I said, well, what if I work for the Pepsi company or something? And I said, how about I just show up in board shorts like I did at Jessica's? And he said, there'll be so many cops at my funeral. He said, you don't have a hair. You guys bear with me for a second. Before I do this, I want you also to know that I showed up. My brother referred to me as a traffic cone. He said, you showed up to our sister's service looking like a traffic cone. Directly, you will see why. There's shorts out. I actually made a little bit of a clown of myself at my father's funeral, and for those of you that were there, I apologize. I won't do the same to my brother, but I will kind of break this a little bit. Stand up here like a clown and show you guys what a traffic cone from South Florida looks like. Don't mind the socks. These things are hot. Now, it would be inappropriate to sit up here barefoot. Now that I have my flip-flops, I feel more comfortable. So with my flip-flops, I can't tuck in a shirt with shorts, and my wife gets really furious when I do that. I can't sit up here and tell the stories that all of you guys did. You guys have had so many years with my brother, so many raccoon faces, that memes, photoshops that you've done. The mattress story I never heard. I think that's hilarious. I could see my brother doing that. The dive stuff, the water rescue. Good friend of my brother's is a battalion or captain from fire rescue. Does the same sick stuff. They like to be in the dark water and feel for fingers and stuff. That's disgusting. You guys are special people, very special. Yuck. So I can't stand up here and tell as many stories as you guys can, and quite honestly, that, you know, some of those, the poems and whatnot. Your wife, where's he at? Last night you had a t-shirt on, all tatted up with your beard, and she said you were going to come up here and read a poem. And I said, that guy is going to read a poem about a bird, a bluebird. So I don't know what you guys do in Kent, but I'm honored. I'm honored that you stand up here in front of everybody and can do that, and I'm sure my brother would feel the same. So I thought I'd do things a little differently, that I would come up here and basically what I want to do is I want to do something that I call to you, and I'm going to address everybody individually. If I miss anybody, I'm sorry. First and foremost to you, Brent and Marty, thank you for raising such a strong woman to put up with my brother's BS, to be there by him, to raise these girls the way that they did, to understand and to know and to be able to see and take in all of this. I'm absolutely amazed at the amount of people that stood in line for hours to come up here and give her a hug. That says a lot about the type of person she is. And again, I know the type of person my brother is, so for her to put up with that voluntarily for all those years, you guys did something right. Her sister was here in a matter of hours, tried to show me up. She got here faster, but she only lives half the distance. So nice try, Susanna. To be there and hold her hand, you guys did something incredible. And I thank you for letting her be that part of my brother's life. To my little nephew, my niece, I'm the only one now. You guys don't have Uncle Matt to fall back on anymore. And I know when I mentioned you at your mother's funeral, Ryan Joseph, and I talked about the time that your mom, when we were buying you those motocross pants, and Mom accidentally zipped the zipper a little fast, and you got mad at me and said, I can't believe you called me out in front of all those people about when Mom did that. Excuse me. Kent, Brimfield, the police departments, the adjacent agencies, the part on the thing where it says scars, marks, tattoos, there's a minute scar. We're not going to get into it, but make sure you deal with him because you've already dealt with him once or twice. Two things. You note the scar, and when he says, hey, my uncle's Matt Butcher, which he's done, you add an extra charge. Add an extra charge for disturbing the peace for being that ugly. All right? He was born a little premature. His body grew faster than his head. Stand up, Ryan. Stand up, Ryan. Stand up and let everybody see that little peanut head. Am I doing okay? I'm not too bad? You said you'd come up here and get me if I was bad, and you're still sitting, so I'm hoping I'm okay. All right, where did I leave off? To my family, to my sons, my two lovely sons and my wife right here. I love you, babe. And to Cody and to Dylan, I hope you saw the kind of brother that I had. And I want you two to promise me that those are the kind of brothers you will be. Okay? I've told you forever that one day Mom and Dad won't be here and it'll just be the two of you fellas. And I want you to be the kind of person that your Uncle Fat Matt was. Okay? Grayson, Keelan, Michaela, I'll be here for you just like I've been here for Kelsey and Ryan. All right? I'm an only child now, so you guys got to kind of spoil me. I'm allowed to do stuff and get away with it. Okay? That's just the way society is now. Okay? I'm entitled. Okay? I'm an only child. I get to pick what I want to be. I'm an only child. Don't say that I'm an only child. There'll be no more vaping and blowing it out the window if any of you choose to so do that. And I think lastly, not lastly, he's going to be last, but to my mother, hope you heard that stuff about the only child thing. You have to spoil me now too, okay? I don't know, Mama. I don't know what you're going through, but the only thing I can tell you is I'm here, okay? I wish that Matt had an Officer Butcher, okay? I wish that he did. But we can't go back on that. The only thing I can do is be here for you. I love you, Mama. I love all of you for being here. I love all of you for being the brother that I couldn't be to my brother for all the years that you worked with him. And to my brother, I'm sorry, Bubba. I did the professional thing. You got the salute, the uni, you got the whole deal. But that's not me, buddy. It's me right here. Flip-flops, board shorts, traffic cone. I got it from here, buddy. You rest easy. Let me pick up my attire. One additional apology. Future reference, law enforcement, funerals, or events, gun belts in these thin chairs are really hard to get into, especially for plus-size people.
imagine that throughout these witnesses to Matt's life, you heard some themes that voice themselves over and over again. Everyone here, as has been said, has memories of Matt. He not only cared about his community, he was down to earth, treated everyone with a clean slate, and he knew how to forgive. He could reason with those who were in crisis. He was a big personality, and he gave as good as he got. His outrageous humor got everyone through difficult times. And we have no idea how many people he helped, or how many people for whom he just showed up. He did the most compassionate things, especially when no one was looking. His profound thoughtfulness and profanity will be missed. But none of us can be Matt Butcher, and that's okay. But the one thing we can do is that we can embrace one of his qualities. Take that to heart and act on it. Be to the world loyalty, or love, or forgiveness, or adventure. Read a Harry Potter book. Be real with others. Meet them where they are. De-escalate a situation instead of adding to the chaos. Let your smile fill your face, and love those with whom you work and serve, come across on a call, or meet in the street. There is a verse in the Gospel of John, the 3rd chapter. Jesus was about to leave his beloved disciples, and he knew how hard that was going to be on them. He said, "So you have sorrow now, but I will see you again, and your hearts will rejoice, and no one can take your joy from you." I know that everyone here is hurting, is grieving, is dealing with all kinds of mixed feelings. The joy of knowing Matt, anger you may have at him right now, the longing just to hug him one more time. But no one can take the joy of Matt Butcher from any of us. Let us pray. Oh God, all that you have given us is yours. As first you gave Matthew to us, we now give him back to you, and we commend him to your love. Acknowledge, we humbly beseech you, a sheep of your own fold, a lamb of your own flock, a sinner of your own redeeming. Receive Matt into your mercy and into the blessed rest of everlasting peace. Amen. Matt's family invite all of you to go down to the cafeteria at the close of this service. A meal has been prepared for you. You'll have an opportunity to tell more stories, to remember the nicknames he gave you that you can't say out loud here, and to share things about Matt. In the eating together, we share this time and remember that we are here for one another. And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.
can't believe that you got me in a suit and tie. I had to take a pull so I wouldn't cry. You got a line out the church door saying goodbye. Yeah, I believe them when they say you're in a better place. You had a wild side, but you had amazing grace. I know you're way off up in them clouds, but if you could still hear me right now, I hope you hit those gold streets on two wheels. I hope your mansion in the sky's got a 10-acre field with some mud and some pubs you can lock in.
laughed, we've wept, we've remembered, we've made connections with one another. And now, in the name of God, I dismiss you from this place in peace and ask you to join us for a meal and share the love. God bless you.